2022 gubernatorial elections represent a unique opportunity for Democrats, especially to retake the United States governorships for the first time in several election cycles. So today I'll be doing my updated 2022 governor elections map. So let's get right into it with the Democratic safe states. California will be safe. There's pretty much no chance that the recall against Gavin Newsom succeeds, and even so, in 2022, he'll likely win by a smaller margin in 2018, but albeit he will win. I also believe that Illinois will be safe, along with New Jersey, Connecticut, and New York and Hawaii, and that will be for the Democratic safe states besides Colorado. And for Republican safe states, Idaho, Wyoming, South Dakota, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Alabama, Tennessee. And I'd consider Iowa safe, but I think that'll be likely overall. And there we have it for the Republican safe states besides Massachusetts and Vermont. Massachusetts, if Charlie Baker runs again, and he actually might not. Even if he does, he might face some stronger challengers than in 2018. But I think that so far it looks like he'll run again and he will win by a safe margin. So now going on to Democratic likely states. So New Mexico, I think, will be likely. Minnesota, Virginia, and Rhode Island and Oregon are in the same boat in that they both have pretty unpopular governors who are no longer running for re-election. For example, Kate Brown is term limited, and Gina Raimondo in Rhode Island is now the Secretary of Commerce. Both of them are pretty unpopular and made the races in 2018 closer than they should be, despite the fact that both these states are safe Democratic. So in the end, I think that will carry over and make the races likely Democrat. And actually, that will be it for the likely Democratic races. I'm considering Maryland, but I think in the end that might be 5%, which would qualify it as likely, so yeah. And for Republicans, Kansas, which I made a whole video on, you can check that out if you want. It should pop up right about now. Iowa, Ohio, South Carolina, since Joe Cunningham is probably the best candidate Democrats can run. He will maybe gain in the Democratic vote total, but I think he'll still lose. Alaska, and I think that actually will be it for likely Republican states. And now we get into some of the closer states. So Maine, I actually think will be likely since Paula Page is not a good candidate. So besides that, I believe that I think Nevada will be lean Democratic. Steve Sisolak isn't incredibly popular, and he has some pretty good Republican challengers going up against him. But I think he'll win by under 2%, around 1.5%, closest 1%. But so far, I'll have to see who his challenger is and what his approval rating is looking like before I make this race tilt. And actually, I think that might be the only lean Democratic state besides New Hampshire, since Chris Sununu looks like he'll run for Senate, and there really aren't any candidates for either side that could do very well. So far, I'm putting it as lean Democratic, since really it's a pretty Democratic state now, and it doesn't seem like it'll go to the Republicans, even though Chris Sununu is pretty popular. Texas, I'll put as lean Republican, since Greg Abbott is not very popular among Hispanics, and he'll likely lose a lot of suburban support. So in the end, he won't get the same coalition that Trump did to win by about 5.6%. And I think that he'll actually have some strong challengers, potentially Beto O'Rourke, Julian Castro, Joaquin Castro, or even Matthew McConaughey, who is an actor. If you have not heard of him, he's in films such as Interstellar. And actually, Matthew McConaughey might possibly win. I actually might make a video on that, since my first WikiBox I ever made was Matthew McConaughey versus Greg Abbott. And Florida will be lean, 4 to 5%, depending on how popular Ron DeSantis is and who his challenger is. I think Charlie Christ actually might do 4 or 5% loss. Nikki Fry would do the same, and Val Demings could actually be more. But again, that actually is a topic for another video, since it is a pretty in-depth topic. And that will be it for the lean states. I think that Michigan will be tilt, since Gretchen Whitmer is definitely going to be a top target for Republicans, and they already have James Craig, who is the Detroit police chief, looking to run against her, and I think he'd actually be a pretty strong candidate who'd vastly narrow up the margin between him and Gretchen Whitmer than it was in 2018 when Gretchen Whitmer won by, as you can see here, around nearly 10%. So yeah, and Pennsylvania, since Tom Wolf is pretty popular and that support would likely carry you over, the candidate for Democrats is likely going to be Josh Shapiro, who's the popular attorney general. In 2020, all the statewide elected seats for in Pennsylvania were up, and he was the only Democrat to win, even though all the other Democrats lost. So I think he's a very strong candidate who could do very well. Georgia, since Brian Kemp already has a pro-Trump primary challenger who is definitely going to hurt him, and Stacey Abrams, who is very, very popular in the state and can definitely do well with urban voters and suburban voters. And now we have a 24-24. The two states that will decide control of the US governorships will be Arizona and Wisconsin. So I'll go with Arizona first. So I think that the two candidates for governor for the Democrats, or the two possible nominees for the Democrats in 2022 for Arizona, will likely be Ruben Gallego, the representative representing the Phoenix area, and Katie Hobbs, who is the Secretary of State of Arizona. Both are good candidates. Katie Hobbs has a statewide elected position, so she definitely could use the same coalition to win. Probably Phoenix turnout and suburban support. Ruben Gallego could definitely amp up the support in Phoenix, get a lot of turnout, and that would definitely help him. He could also win suburban support, and again, yeah, Democrats have some solid candidates there. Republicans also have some statewide elected officials like Mark Brnovich, the Attorney General. But in the end, I'm actually going to put this one as Tilt D, not Tilt R. And this because the state seems to be shifting to the left, and that while its voters are more elastic than in Georgia, as I have mentioned in previous videos, I think Arizona will actually go to the Democrats. They have two Democratic senators. They went for Joe Biden in the presidential election, and the next step, logically, does seem to be a Democratic governor. But I'll have to see the candidates in this one. If the Republicans run a very pro-Trump candidate that turns off all the suburban voters, yeah, there's no way they're going to win. But if they run more of a Doug Ducey type candidate, which I don't seem to be a very likely possibility, yeah, they could win. In Wisconsin, I put this one as pure toss-up leaning Tilt R. And actually, I looked at Tony Evers' approval rating. It's currently +7, and while his COVID approval rating is definitely dropped since the beginning of the pandemic, it actually looks like he could win, and he may not get the same coalition as he did in 2018, which, as you can see here, was actually a lot of support from the blue-collar workers in places like Crawford and Vernon and Grant, but a lack of support in the WOW counties, the suburbs of Milwaukee, which are typically used as an example of very pro-Republican suburbs. He actually could lose a lot of support in the blue-collar areas, but if he retains even a little bit of it, does well in the cities, and does well like Biden did in the suburbs, he actually could win. So for now, I'm going to change my prediction and make it Tilt Democratic. So I know America First Mapping's going to be mad at me, but actually, as of now, I think that he will win. And I'll definitely think that this could change in the future. It's going to be probably the closest race of 2022. So I have to see who the Republican candidate is. If it's a moderate Mitt Romney candidate, yeah, it could even be likely Evers. If it's a populist, it could be Tilt R, but we'll have to see. So that's it. Democrats actually take control of the US governorships. They flip actually 2 seats, which are 3 seats. 4 seats. Now that I keep on looking at this, they'd flip New Hampshire, Maryland, Arizona, and Georgia, and Republicans would flip Kansas. So yeah, there we have it. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to be notified when my future videos come out. Check out the comments. I have a Q&A form for my live stream tomorrow. Be there. It should be 1 or 1:30 Pacific time. It'll be pretty fun if everyone's there. Ask questions since I don't have a ton already. And yeah, leave a comment in the comment section down below telling me what you thought of the video, what your prediction is for the 2022 gubernatorial races. Any suggestions and video ideas are always welcome. Check out the description. I have some Discord servers I'm active on. You can join those. It'd be pretty cool. And that's it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.